welcome to another episode of the Strong Family Project podcast. I am Joe, and I'm slowing down the intro so Mel can get her microphone on. We're ready to go, Mel.
I'm ready.
We'll go.
Okay. Welcome back to the Strong Family Project podcast, where we guide you on the path to raising confident, independent, and resilient children in a strong family environment.
So a quick 60-second of our story. We had moved across the country to refocus on our family. A former teacher, former social worker. Mel's the former social worker. I'm former teacher. Coach. We run our family businesses. And we found that we were spending a lot more time making great businesses and not as much time on our family organization, which is the most important organization in our lives. So we took a lot of those lessons we've learned from the business world, from the teaching world, from the social work world, from the coaching world, and we try to have a system for you to make your life more effective, your family life more effective specifically. And so the only reason why we can fit it all in is because we have plans, and we want to share those plans with you so that you have them and you can live a purposeful and intentional family life. Today we are talking about culture. Buzzword in the business world, powerful in the athletics world, meaningful in your family world. Mel, share something. I'm talking too much.
You're not. We're talking today about creating a family culture. So the way your family is together, what's expected in your family, what it's like when you spend time together, and a lot of our decision making based on our values creates the culture that we have in our family.
Here's why I want us to dive into this episode. We get a lot of questions on symptoms in a household, things that are like, it's like a fever to a cold. Okay, my child is acting up. How do I get him to act in line? How do I get my kid to adopt a growth mindset? How do I get them to accomplish goals? And it's a lot of these, like, how do I get them to do this thing? How do I get my kids off tech time more? Things like that. Those are all symptoms. And yes, they do happen, and you do need a plan and tactics for those. But the honest answer, other than solving those independent things, is to have a great household culture, to be proactive before those things happen so that you can have open dialogue if they do happen. And a lot of those you can erase by having good family culture. A lot of those negative things just don't happen if you have a culture of progress and you want your child to accomplish. Well, that's part of your culture. That is expected, and that's what happens because they see you doing it and role modeling it. So we're going to put some thought to you and your household on what you want it to run like, and that is your family culture.
And really, the 7 parts of the path is what helped us create this family culture. And it evolves over time. And the first one being the values. We set up our values so the kids know the expectations of how how we want our family to look. And of course, we get their input. And if you go back and listen to that first episode, it's really powerful. And then it depends on how old your kids are for how much they can contribute to figuring those out. But that really sets the foundation for our culture. So we want our kids to be genuine. We have a lot of gratitude that we share every day at the dinner table. That's created that culture for us at the dinner table of just looking back over our day, having gratitude for what's going on in our lives. We could just sit there and complain about our days, but that would create a different kind of culture.
Not our culture.
Right, not our culture. But we've intentionally created that situation through setting our core values.
And Mel brings up a good point. I was just chatting about this with Henry when he was making his lunch sandwich, is that culture could be good. We're going to focus on mostly the good aspects of it, but it could be very negative. And I used the example with him. Hey, in some of your classes, it has a very good vibe. Like the teacher's on point, the kids are engaged. It's like the right mix of kids, and they have a lot less discipline issues when there's that good culture. Opposite's also true. Teacher seems confused. The kids are disjointed. They become idle. They start to act out, and all of a sudden they have more discipline issues. It's not solving the discipline issue. It's solving the classroom culture to make it stronger. And he understood that example, so I want to share it. And today I think you should be getting your pens and papers out because I have 6 aspects that you should consider when you're creating your family culture. One caveat, one word of warning. In the business world, they think a positive culture is having fun at work in some instances, and those businesses usually fail. It's not just belonging. It's not just fun, it is results oriented. And I'll give an example of a professional athletics team. Like, they can all go out and play and have fun, but if they don't get the result of winning, they're all going to get cut and fired. And so that happens in business too, where it's just like, all right, our culture is, let's just let the kids do whatever they want. Let's have fun. That's not going to give you the positive culture that you think it will. It's not just belonging or affiliation with a group is part of the culture. It's also the results that you get and the development you get for being a part of the group. And that's an important distinction. In the business world, there's a lot of places that'll try to have those fun workplaces and they don't get the results they want. They get very confused on why, because they're missing the standards. A place that does get good, I'll give you a concrete example. Herb Kelleher over at Southwest Airlines, when they started out, they had a very fun-loving culture, which came from him. If he's very serious, it could have been a different culture. They had a very fun-loving culture. They started to do more fun things with their flight attendant announcements. And yes, that's all fun, but they also were incredible at cutting costs and getting very quick turnarounds at the terminal so that they could get more flights in the air than anybody else. That was an important piece of their culture so that they could all be successful. So yes, they could have fun, but the results still mattered, and he made sure it mattered in those aspects, especially in his earlier days.
I think what's exciting when it comes to family culture, and I guess this could apply to business too, is every family is unique. It could be 2 people, it could be 20 people, like whatever it is. The different personalities in your family set the foundation for whatever kind of culture that you want, and it can be unique. Like when we step into someone else's home, we become very cognizant of the culture in their family. And sometimes it's great. Sometimes we go home and we're like, hey, I want to implement this. I love that they did that. And we gain things from it. And being around other people, you can feel what the culture is, even in the classroom. Like I go and help in Henry's 5th grade class. I love the culture that the teacher has created with those students. There is trust, there's respect, there's fun. They all have responsibilities. So I think it's exciting to know that every family is unique. And you have this awesome potential for creating a culture based on the personalities and the values of your own family system.
So the 6 aspects I want to teach you today have been derived from research that was published in the Harvard Business Review. I am a little bit of a nerd. I found some good stuff in the Harvard Business Review, and I like to read it. Not all. However, they've got one great article on monkeys on your back analogy with problems, which could be a whole nother episode on how to manage and elevate people to solve their own problems. It's, I think, an article from the 50s. But there was another article on research on these companies. They did a good job pointing out the companies that failed because they just focused on fun, and the ones that focused on their unique aspect, which could be fun, it could be serious, and it could be whatever your family is about, and achieving some sort of result were the ones that were successful. And so, pen and paper in hand, here we go. Number 1, your culture should be honest. Regardless of where you want to take it in your own family core values, honesty and high integrity interactions will really matter. It is very tough to have a culture that is based on undermining, lies, chopping each other down. You have to be honest because it will move your culture forward a lot faster than if you're having these discussions all the time to figure out what's going on in your household.
I think it's important to note that the honesty needs to obviously be both ways.
Sure.
I think whenever you have a culture of because I told you so thing, it doesn't foster honesty and openness. So like in the evening part of our path, as we do this evening debrief where I sit with my older boys downstairs, they're all comfortable. And that's oftentimes when sensitive topics will come up. And if we didn't foster this honesty and openness, they might not want to talk to me about these things that come up. So I think it's really important to be, as a parent, be willing to have the tough conversations, be willing to open up. And just because it's uncomfortable, I don't think that it's good to just say, I'm the parent, so I just told you.
Yeah, and how we foster honest interactions. Mel mentioned one in our evening debrief method, part of their path, which you can download for free at strongfamilyproject.com. And the other way we foster, other than our day-to-day conversations, is at our family meetings, where we have an open dialogue section, discussion topics where the kids can be honest and we don't jump down their throats, but we can be honest with them. We have a section called Tough Truths as well, where it's time to foster that honest feedback. So honesty is important. How we do it, evening debrief, and during the family meeting are our formal approaches. Both of those you can find full episodes in the first 7, which are 1 episode each on each of the 7 steps of the Strong Family Path. Okay. So we have honesty. Check. Next thing, achievement focused and progress. Progress, and I've mentioned this on so many episodes, progress helps people build confidence, resilience, and helps with any sort of mental health issues if you're making progress in a positive direction. If you're sitting still, it can get frustrating. It can wear on you. If you're the same person as you were 10 years ago and you're not making progress, you're probably not doing well between your ears either. And so having an achievement-focused culture matters. How we foster this is we let the kids draw a picture of what they want to accomplish in 1 year, our goal setting system, another step of our path, which is in the first 7 episodes, full episode on it. So they set their goals, and then they set their weekly commitments. It is very small things. It's not a ton. And they do that commitment, and then at the weekly meeting, they share out how it helped them reach towards their 1 year goal, and then they'll set another commitment for the next week, and they'll set another commitment. So they are seeing mini achievements along the way to their bigger goal. Another way we help with achievement is during the morning routine. They have a minimum effective dose of exercise to build a habit. The whole exercise in the morning routine takes maybe 5 minutes. The goal isn't the exercise, it's to start feeling that they're achieving something as soon as they wake up in the day, and just being generally a healthy and fit person. So we have those baked in. Mel, how else do we bake in achievement for the kids?
Going back to the family meeting, we start out by everybody saying how in that past week they've embodied a family value. So I think that is really powerful because we want to always hammer home how important these values are. And whenever all of us share how we embody that value in the last week, we're making progress. We're becoming more of the kind of person and family that we want to be. When I ask my kid about what helps him at school to make decisions, because we have values. He says that himself. So that constant repetition and knowing what we stand for helps us progress forward, for sure.
And I should say the honest and tough truth about all these is it requires role modeling from you. Just like in a business, my example from Southwest, Herb Kelleher drove the culture based on who he was and role modeling it for his team. You two are the leaders of your family, and role modeling is going to be critical for it. So don't expect your kids to be high achievement individuals if you live a low achievement lifestyle. If you don't follow what you're teaching your kids, if you aren't making progress or personal growth, and this isn't a workplace thing, this is if you're not reading books to further your life and you're not doing the tasks that you're asking your kids to do, they're not going to be high achievement individuals. No matter how many tactics and tricks we teach you to employ, you got to live a high achievement lifestyle yourself, which I bet you are because you are furthering yourself by listening to this podcast. This is a growth opportunity that you are taking, and so I want to commend you for that as well.
With achievement, in order to gain achievement, you need to have accountability. And we talked about this in a previous podcast.
Hold your horses.
What? Oh, you going?
Number 3, you got to be accountable.
Okay.
So we have honest, achievement, accountable. It's tough to achieve anything if you're always trying to pass the buck to someone else. Now you may continue.
Well, now I lost my track of thought. I think one of the most important things and unique things with a family with achievement and accountability is the kids are great at keeping parents accountable. So we do this thing where we have our daily commitments, and one of our kids gets to ask everybody, did you do it today? And if they didn't, they get to call us out. And often when parents are trying to achieve a goal, if you have your child be a part of that, it really can set you up for success. Or even like with us, so we try to do a workout every day. And lately we've been deciding to include the kids more and to do family workouts. And I think it keeps us more accountable. It's exciting for us to see them achieve more in their physical fitness, and we're spending more time together. It just keeps us all more accountable. Like if I didn't feel like doing the workout that morning, but I know it's going to be a family workout, it definitely pushes me to achieve the goal.
Use some soft, vague language in there, Mel. What do you mean try to do a workout each day?
We commit to do a workout each day.
A workout happens every day.
Okay. Joe works out every day. I work out most days.
Just busting chops. All right. So you do a great job with it. You're down there today doing another leg day. Okay. So being accountable, this is a tough one for parents to swallow. 2 different ways. Number 1, publicly, where hey, Dad, you told me not to use my phone, but you're on yours all the time. You told me I only get 15 minutes of tech time, but I see you on the computer all day. You tell me to eat healthy, but you're having that ice cream. Like that is tough. And if you can squash a kid's verbally holding you accountable by scolding them, I had a tough day, and that's a slippery slope. Now you're teaching them even worse than you being accountable. You have to be accountable too. And that could be admitting you're fallible and do have those things that come up and guide through it, but getting frustrated and scolding them and saying, I'm the adult and I can do this. I've earned it. Like, not true. Haven't earned it. Still have to be accountable.
Again, your child will eventually become an adult.
And the second way isn't public, but it will eat you away mentally. And that is that privately, you are not living the life that you're telling your kids to live. You get them to bed and then you have that ice cream you've been waiting for all day. And you do those things that you teach your kids not to. And you're watching Netflix all night instead of working on at least some personal growth and development to be achievement focused. That lives in your brain and it comes out when you're trying to parent and try to run your family. You can't hide from your own mind and you will know it. So yes, there's that public piece that you can try to squash, but there's that private piece that you will know. You can't trick your own mind. It is there. So we have to work on being accountable both publicly and privately.
And when you start to accumulate wins, when you start to really take accountability seriously, I think that you will want more wins. So when you start getting wins, you're going to want more wins and more wins and more wins. There's something to that phrase, accountability buddy, right? And your kid or your spouse or your family as a whole together can be accountability buddies and push yourselves forward together.
Next, being collaborative. We want all voices heard when it comes to things. One of our core values is be genuine. And sometimes that takes us to discuss, hey, what do we all want to do this weekend? Here are some ideas. You're collaborative and the best idea wins. If you throw up some half-hearted idea, your idea doesn't get picked. And ultimately, yes, the parents do get to make the final decision, but it should be a collaborative process. Just like a good leader in a company gets all the input from people who know more than him or her, and then they're responsible for making the decision, but they get that collaborative intelligence. If you're only using your own brain, you are doing a disservice towards all the other thoughts in the household that you could possibly learn from. And the collaborative approach to coming up and brainstorming and then being decisive, that's powerful in building family culture.
In our family meetings, when we do discussion topics, it's literally a discussion. So we bring up the topic, whoever has the topic brings it up, and we all discuss it. Everybody at the table has an opportunity to provide their input. And oftentimes when it's an issue, we talk about this all the time, but tech time, if there's an issue with tech time, the kids oftentimes come up with really great solutions. And if we just spoke separately, Joe and I, and then said, okay, here's what we're going to do, here's the rule, it's not as powerful if you just tell the kid, if they become part of that solution process and they see their contribution as valuable, and oftentimes, honestly, whatever they pick, if they pick it, they're more likely to follow through with it. And it's exciting to see. Sometimes I'm even surprised, wow, they came up with some really great ideas. So have faith that your children have awesome ideas to share as well.
And that goes back to those symptoms that people like to treat at the beginning. How do I build self-confidence? Show them that they're valuable and then listen to their opinion. And that's part of your culture. It's not just one situation that you can adapt. I remember hearing this story and I have no idea where I heard it from, but father and son picked someone else up at the airport, one of their family friends, and they were driving to a conference. And the family friend was so intrigued that the father was listening to the son, who might have been 10 or 11, who was saying, hey, Dad, why don't you get on the highway up here? Now, the father didn't get up on the highway. He was like, no, they didn't say, no, I got it. I said, oh, during this hour, during rush hour, it tends to be busier up there. So we're going to take this side street. So it was a collaborative conversation. It wasn't like I know more than you. It was listening. You don't always have to pick, but you do always have to listen and then validate their opinion and build their confidence. And sometimes if it's a push, like it could be the same either way, take the kid's opinion. Let them contribute in a way that influences you, because that will elevate their self-confidence to whole new levels.
I agree. We really are about raising confident kids. We want them to know how to critically think and problem solve. And I seriously get excited when they have solutions and when the solution it stands out as something that really could work.
Yeah, and if it's decent enough, just go with it. All right, next one, be agile. You have to handle external stress and you have to be able to pivot when the old crapola hits the fan. A lot of the issues we have today were not issues that our parents have. A lot of issues that they had are ones that we no longer have. And so the world changes and technology comes around, markets go up and down, economies change, jobs change, the length of stay at careers change. However, you can't be so set in your ways that you try to fight against a rising tide. And so you have to be agile. If something goes poorly, say, oh, that didn't go great, let's try this other thing. Like, you have to be able to pivot and don't dig in when it doesn't matter.
I think this is also important when kids bring up topics that might be uncomfortable, because there are issues that come up in the world's culture these days that we as children did not have to deal with our parents. And I think it's oftentimes a matter of, I have to sometimes swallow my own pride or swallow my own want to just avoid it and be willing to discuss those topics. Be willing. These are things that our kids are dealing with. So we have to be agile and let go of some of that discomfort, or not let go of it, but work through the discomfort, knowing that we're serving a higher purpose here by having those difficult discussions with kids.
Last one on the list. This is a little pivot away from what the business review teaches, clarity. I think you need to have clear teachings on what your family stands for, your core values, what goals look like, what achievement looks like, define success, role model it yourself. All this provides clarity to where you're going on your path. I've had the pleasure of working with a marketing manager at one of our companies, Carly, who says that clarity is kind. And I love that saying. She taught it to me a few years ago. And it's true with family stuff too. Like, being clear on what are the standards that this family holds, what are the boundaries that we have, what do we stand for as a family. All those things could change based on your parenting style and the personalities in your house, but they still deserve clarity on what they are.
Yeah, I always go back to the family values. If we were going to say, hey, what are we going to do this weekend? We oftentimes choose something where we're going to be together. That's one of our values. Where we're going to do something adventurous. That's one of our values. And we actually were on a podcast. We were interviewed on a podcast a little while ago, How She Moms, and Whitney's wonderful. And I love what she said. They get together with their family once a year for a retreat. And they do have family core values, but they adjust them. So if their vision for that coming year is a little bit different, or they want to adjust their values, you certainly can. This isn't necessarily set in stone, but really taking the time to figure out what the values are, what you stand for, gives so much clarity in expectations to the kids. Because if we didn't have these values, we might end up just sitting around all weekend watching TV or something. Like, that's not what we're about, and the kids know that's not what we're about. And sometimes they push against it. Like this morning, one of the kids didn't really want to do the family workout, but we asked him to join, and it's what our family's about. And by the end, he was so glad that he did. It brought us all closer together. He was helping his brothers put together their workouts and stuff. So if you know what you're about, it's so much easier to make decisions based on it.
It allows you to ask better questions. And so with that workout example, like a common question would be like, oh, do you want to join us? That's not a very clear question, because the kids don't understand. Like, hey, do you think it's more valuable to your life to go sit on the couch for the next half an hour or partake in this family workout? That's the real choice you're making now. Do you want to or not? Okay,
I totally
soft questions.
Yeah,
like, yeah, you could call it guilt tripping, but they are honest. Let them understand what they are choosing. Can't hide them from that.
I've definitely asked those questions. That's something I need to work on, is asking better questions. Because I sometimes will ask it that way. Do you want to join us? Because I assume they're going to say yes. And then when they don't, I'm like, oh, darn, if I had just asked that differently.
And then they dig in. You asked me, and I said no. Now you have to respect that. And
right.
So Mel paints herself in the corner.
I do paint myself in the corner.
But
this is what I'm working on, because that shows me that we need to continue with the constant gentle pressure and creating the culture in our family where that person will then want to choose the thing that's actually better for them, that will progress them forward, keep them accountable, and all that nice stuff you mentioned.
And sometimes I'll even role model. I'll say, hey, do you think I should eat this pretzel, or do you think I should go work out? Like, it takes them outside themselves, but they know what I'm going to do. I'm going to smush that pretzel, throw it in the garbage, and go work out. No, I want to throw away one of your pretzels.
Hey, it's my homemade sourdough soft pretzels. You don't smush it, but all that hard work. No, work out first, then have the pretzel with some eggs. Or not.
All right. So there are the 6 that I wanted to empower you with today. I'm going to hit the review button in one quick time. For family culture: honest, achievement focused, accountable, collaborative, agile, and provide clarity. There's flexibility within that to fit your own parenting style, your own personality. If you want to nip a lot of those problems in the bud, and I've been saying that a lot lately, because a lot of people think it's
that.
nip in the butt.
I know.
It's not.
I think
it's
you
bud.
changed it recently.
No, it's a gardening term.
No, I know, but I think you used to say bud.
So if you want to get ahead of not having a lot of issues in the family, get your family culture together, and it's going to be proactive. It's like that example of a great classroom or a great team that you're playing on, or a great organization that you've been a part of where they want to accomplish things, and a lot of the other distractions and disciplinary and issues just go out the window because it's such a positive culture. And that's a more proactive and positive way to do it than to wait till something bad happens and then try to handle it with punitive measures.
As with so many things that we talk about, we want to be intentional. So you'll have a family culture whether you're intentional about it or not.
Yeah, it could be crappy. You're right.
Well, that's what I'm saying is there's got to be a culture. But do you want to control that culture and create something really great based on the things you mentioned? Or do you want to just let it go to the wind and see what happens? And I was on a podcast a little while ago, and they asked me about discipline. How do we handle it? And to be honest, we don't have to deal with it that much.
But you just have good kids.
No, we have painstakingly created a good culture in our family that helps us when a topic comes up.
It must be nice to not have kids that act out.
That's not, yeah. That annoys me because it's like we have created a situation where we know how we want to talk to them. They know how to approach us, and it's not punitive and it's not reactive, and we're very intentional. So yeah, it must be nice because we've put the effort in.
Yeah, and I want to give the listeners a lot of credit. If you're listening, you probably want this in your life too, and you probably have already put some time into it. Even a lot of you have, from the comments that we do see and the questions that we get. So that's just our opinion on it. Those are our thoughts on family culture. You can take it and run with it, because I do have a lot of trust for the parents that do listen to the show, and put your own spin on it. Let us know what the spin is. Shoot us a comment. If you have any questions, drop them in the YouTube comments. Reach out to us on Instagram at Official Strong Family Co. It's in the show notes. Shoot us a message. We'll be happy to chat about this more, because this is a big mover for the family. And it is tough because it is the behind the scenes mover, which is the culture. It's not the in the moment, what do we handle? How do we handle this one situation type thing? And the reality that a lot of those questions are, have a great culture, and then those things are a lot easier to handle.
And consistency. Once you start creating the culture and you have the values and you consistently discuss them and make them part of your family daily life, I guarantee you'll see change. It's just a matter of trusting the process and being consistent with it. You can't create a culture overnight. It has to be over time.
If this made you think, provided a little value to your family, take the time to drop us a review over on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. We'll be happy to answer any questions that you send our way. And our mission here is to help families become purposeful and intentional in how they operate. And you sharing the show and reviewing and rating, all that really matters and makes a big difference to us in our lives. So we want to thank you for that. Talk to you on the next episode.